Good afternoon, Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com here with your Hurricane Outlook and discussion for Saturday, September 30th, 2017. Looking at the tropics this weekend, not a lot going on. You read that right there. Last advisory issued on Maria after a devastating jaunt through the Caribbean and the impacts here along the Outer Banks and the swells that are brought elsewhere. The legacy this has left, now Maria is post-tropical. It's pretty much done. The energy with it will wind up over here somewhere in the extreme northeast Atlantic, maybe impacting Great Britain and parts of northwest Europe. But what a legacy. It started as a disturbance over Africa, came out and developed, and we all know what happened from Dominica all the way up through here, and then cutting up and around, and off it goes into the history books. And so that leaves us with a couple of areas to watch. This is down to 10%, invest area 99L. This is basically 0%. If we look at the satellite animation, we can see that there is a lot of cloud cover, part of the active moist phase of the Madden-Julian oscillation, still hanging around in this region. Lots of upward motion, promoting cloud cover for the most part, and convection. But we do have quite a lot of upper-level lows, quite a few of them. There's one here. You can see another one here, pretty sharp one. And there's another one over here. And so you have all this wind shear cutting across. Not much favorability overall, even though the water temperatures are quite warm throughout the western and southwestern Atlantic basin over here. This area gets a big check mark for warm water temperatures. That's in place. But the upper level winds right now are just not very favorable, kind of a transition period. And I think what's going to happen, we're not going to see much develop from this energy up here. Some weak impulses. High pressure is going to build over the eastern United States in the deep levels of the atmosphere. Some of these disturbances will catch a quick ride out, but then some are going to develop a little bit and then ride westward. Maybe a couple of them bringing some inclement weather from time to time across portions of the northern Gulf Coast, but that's pretty much it. No major development is anticipated until we get out beyond about 5 to 10 days, and then I think there's a pretty good chance that we see something develop in this area that may try to work its way up into the Gulf of Mexico, and then we really need to be watching. In this vicinity is the most favored area this time of year, because you get these areas to develop, then you get these troughs dipping in and these fronts coming down, and they are easy to turn to the northeast with time. Sometimes you get strong enough high pressure sitting across this region late in the season that these will develop and just get buried into Mexico. You just never know. You have to wait until something's actually out there. So sort of a transitional period, like I just said, coming up. On one hand, the rainfall, and there is some convective activity over the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico today. Unfortunately, there's no radar available down there, at least not from the National Weather Service. That, of course, was knocked out, quite literally, by Hurricane Maria. But some of this rainfall, as I mentioned, I think it was yesterday, can be beneficial if you can collect it and use it as drinking water if it's not too much too fast and adding insult to injury down there. Hey, rain falling from the sky should be pure enough to drink, one would think, right? So maybe that's one little silver lining there. But otherwise, no major disturbances. But again, I think we're going to see a lowering of the pressures across this region as a very large area of counterclockwise rotation sets up what we call the Central American gyre. And it'll be sort of this huge manufacturing conveyor belt trying to develop tropical systems. Probably have one develop over here in the southeast Pacific, and probably have one develop somewhere here in the western Caribbean. If we look at the European model from today, this is from Levi Cowan's website at tropicaltidbits.com, we see that the initial map shows some energy here. And let me change my color to red. A little bit of energy here along the southwest to northeast line, indicating some vorticity or unstable atmosphere, even sort of an inverted surface trough through here. You can see this, look, it's like an inverted trough. Troughs up here, they dip down like that, whereas this looks like an upside down V. and just kind of showing you the nature to the overall setup, that there's a little bit of energy, but nothing's concentrating. This is the area near Puerto Rico at the initial setup. Again, bringing some rainfall to that area and parts of the Virgin Islands as well. If we move out into time, this is 24 hours out, and you can see little pockets of these areas try to split off and develop into something, but they're going to be weak and strung out like tomatoes on, or grapes on a grapevine, I guess. And some of these are going to be, not very ripe, so to speak, which is good. We don't want to see tropical activity, then this is what you want to see, where the energy is spread out and not bundling. If we go to 48 hours, that's generally the case. Maybe some kind of a system trying to develop here not far from Bermuda, but again, it's fairly loosely organized, sort of a non-tropical area of low pressure probably. And then at 72 hours, more of the same, 96 hours, and then finally at day 5, you start to see the outline here. Westerly winds coming in this way, turning and coming back around, just a large area of counterclockwise rotation as this giant monsoonal gyre sets up shop, focused over Central America here, and then maybe a tropical cyclone trying to develop south of the Mexican coastline. And then finally, farther out into time, less reliable, of course, in terms of the outcome. But here's day 6, and you see it's just starting to try to consolidate a little bit more there, a little bit more energy, probably going to see a lot more cloud cover in here. But you can definitely see the counterclockwise turning of this huge area of unstable, just the environment overall, as what we call the Central American gyre. And then you have this boundary up here really not doing much. This is going to be the focus, though, as we get beyond day 5. So this is day 6, and then finally by day 7, it's trying to close off up here perhaps. And, people can go see the rest of this out to day 10. And overall, the models are trying to develop most of the globals, some kind of disturbed weather over here, and then they bring it into the Gulf of Mexico by days 8, 9, and 10, and we will just have to wait and see. And so the advantage here is that we can see in the models sort of picking up that chatter, so to speak. It's like intelligence, okay? In battle and in the fight against terrorism, we listen to chatter and we see if there's a consensus that something might happen from various organizations that are monitored. Well, the computer models are guidance, and we can look at them over time, and if we get a consensus from the GFS, the European, the Canadian, and other models that something may develop, then your confidence is higher that something may happen. But remember, out in time, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 days, the confidence is lower because of chaos theory and other things. The reliability is just not there. Just like listening to chatter about some kind of an attack plan from the intelligence agencies, where it's several weeks from now that it might happen. You just, the closer in, the intel is better, and the same thing holds true in the weather, that the nearer you are to real time, the more reliable it is. So this gives us a heads up. All right, that's the best way to approach it. And that being said, you can kind of look at the Ensemble Prediction Center, the Ensemble Prediction system, that's what I'm trying to say, and overall pretty high confidence that something's going to try to develop down here and then maybe move up in this direction when from 5 to 10 days out into time. It's nice that we get this advance warning. It does not mean A, that it will happen, or B, that it even has to happen. This is not saying this is what will happen, and because it's there on a map means that it has to happen. That's not true at all. These are probabilities that something could happen, and we just want to make sure you have a heads up about it, all right? So listen, tomorrow I get on a plane early in the morning here in Wilmington. I fly down to Fort Lauderdale. I'm going to rent an SUV, and then I'm going to go down to Marathon Key and pick up the equipment from Hurricane Irma, the weather station, the anemometer, the barometric pressure sensor, the camera system, all of it, including this tiny little device called a Raspberry Pi. Some of you might go, what did he say? Something about Pi? Others of you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's a tiny computer about the size of a small portable hard drive, and it records, we've set it up and programmed it to record weather data from the anemometer and the barometric pressure sensor, and hopefully, even after we lost communication through the network, the LTE network down there was cut off, all the cameras, everybody down there went off at the same time roughly, that it still recorded weather data. We lost the video feed, and that was the end of that. Nothing we can do about it. But the data should have kept recording every minute until probably a couple of days later. I'm so excited. I'm a little nervous because what if it didn't? What if there was a malfunction? You never know, right? But we're very confident that we recorded tremendous weather data that could be extremely helpful. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do like a little video diary on Twitter and on YouTube, uploading these video snippets, some of them 90 seconds, some of them a couple of minutes, maybe 3 minutes, just kind of outlining everything. Here I am at the airport, here I am, in Wilmington, then Fort Lauderdale, and just kind of give you, instead of streaming the whole thing live, because I'm not taking a bunch of equipment with me to do that, kind of like this video diary of the adventure, if you will, of going to pick up this equipment and to see what we have, all right? And maybe it'll yield something really, really useful. I hope so. So that's coming up tomorrow. I will take the laptop so I can also update you as to what's going on in the tropics, and we'll stay on top of that throughout the week ahead. I'll be back on Tuesday in the evening, all right? Have a good rest of your Saturday. It's not quite Sunday yet. The rest of your Saturday afternoon and evening. I'm Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com. Thanks for watching. I'll have more for you tomorrow as I head to Florida.